What's up, family? I'm Juan Castillo, and when I'm on social media, my favorite show to watch is the Don't Shoot the Messenger weekly podcast. Chris G, Professional Sutton, Rucker Report delivers sports the way it's supposed to be, real and authentic. So get ready to be entertained. My boys are ready. I'm ready. Let's go.
Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. I'm your boy, Professional Sutton.
And I'm your boy, Chris G.
And it's your boy, the Rucker Report, a.k.a. Jerry.
Ready? This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished.
This is Don't Shoot the Messenger Podcast.
X about me.
With Professional Sutton.
You already know.
Chris G.
My homie.
And the Rucker Report.
My family, what up? They for real.
All straight with no chaser.
Let the games begin.
Let's go. Don't Shoot the Messenger Podcast.
Yes, it's about that time. Welcome to another edition of Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. I'm your boy, Professional Sutton.
And I'm your boy, Chris G.
And it's your boy, the Rucker Report, Jerry.
Fellas, I am so happy. We got some NFL playoff popping off. So, I'm happy. I'm sure you guys are happy as well. But before we start, we do have to thank our sponsor, 94.3 WYBC.
Of the city.
I don't know what happened, Chris, but you popping. But it's all good, though. We'll get it together. We will get it together. We'll get it together. So we had some games yesterday. We had the Buccaneers versus the football team of Washington. We have the Seahawks and the Rams. Who else we had? Who was the first game? I forgot. God damn.
Buffalo and Indy.
How can I forget about my Buffalo Bills, man? That's crazy. So yeah, man, definitely a good one, man. Definitely we had some interesting games yesterday. One that I wasn't looking for, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wasn't really looking forward to like the Buccaneers and the Redskins game. Not saying it was gonna be a blowout, but I just didn't.
That was a good game, actually.
Man, it was okay.
No, you know what? If the Buccaneers got to play Green Bay next week, they're getting blown out by 40. Because that defense is atrocious.
It was definitely tough.
Listen, I don't care how great of a story Taylor Heineken is. I don't even like Heineken.
Well, listen, before you start my girl Stylee, she is a Washington football fan. She's been holding down all year.
She got something to be proud of because they could have won that game.
Yes.
They really could have won that game if their defense, honestly, the strong suit of Washington, if their defense played a little better because they had some opportunity. They could have won that game.
One takeaway. They needed one takeaway. Just one.
They were just short. But the Buccaneers, highly overrated. Highly overrated.
Speaking of overrated,
Speaking of controversy,
he's not overrated. I'm talking about his Bears, except for Khalil Mack. My dude, he's definitely a real one indeed. But
you talking about the little Cubs over there in Chicago?
Yeah, man. I'm hearing people say, "What about Mitch Trubisky now? What about him now?" You know what I mean? Like,
what about him? What about him?
Man, man. Listen, man. Only thing on that team is Khalil Mack, man. That's it. That's all I'm trying.
No. The Chicago Bears got a championship defense. They got a championship-worthy defense. And honestly, they do got some playmakers on offense. What's holding them back is Mr. Trubisky. That's what's holding them back.
Say it again. Trubisky. Yo, like I said, anybody who
that's terrible.
Ruck, man, I gotta agree with you on that one. Man. Definitely gotta agree with you on that one. Now let's jump into the Bills game. The Bills, Colts. I really like that game. Again, Chris and I, we were talking on the phone when the game was happening. But I like Josh Allen, but again, some of the decisions that he was making was like, you can't do that moving forward. Ruck, I want to get your take on Josh Allen and the Bills from your perspective of what you saw yesterday.
From what I saw yesterday, the Bills' offense is is dynamic because of Josh Allen, because of Diggs, because of Cole Beasley. They have a really good, solid running game. But I think the thing that kind of caught me in that game is realizing that their defense isn't where it was 2 years ago.
Right.
For whatever reason, like their secondary was probably tops in the league last year, and it gave up a lot of chunk plays to Phillip Rivers, and he's never really been known for something like that. So it was different watching. I still think they have a long way to go, because for you to be at home and it really come down to a Hail Mary,
yeah,
your defense has to play better, and they have the people that you would look for on that defense. You know, Edmonds, you got White, you got Micah Hyde. It's a lot of good names on that defense where they should have played better.
Yeah,
against a Colts team like that in Phillips River. But you know, it's good for the league because it's the Buffalo Bills. They hadn't won a playoff game since '96.
Yep.
I think you and Chris was like 2. I was in like graduate school, so you know.
Yo, Chris, he just took it himself. He said,
trying to take it from me.
I see that. All right, first of all, in '96, I was in
6th grade.
6th grade, yeah. I was in 6th grade. So I know you and Envy was in college, but I was in 6th grade.
Finishing college.
Do you remember?
Now, watching that game again, we talked about, the Colts, and we talked about the Bills and Josh Allen, but I do want to jump over. Is it over for Phillip Rivers? That was a question that I've been having for a while. And, again, Chris, we touched on it real quick. Because again, this is Phillip Rivers. He's, we were, he's pretty much at the end of his career right now. You know what I mean? 18 years in the league and 27 kids later. Is it his final goal, or does he have another shot with the Colts or someone get him? What do you say?
I'm gonna get at to Chris.
Okay, Chris.
Well, I would say Phillip Rivers is your best option if you can't find somebody better.
DC. Okay.
I mean, listen, if there's going to be a slew of quarterbacks available this year, there's going to be solidified, franchise level, above replacement quarterbacks available this year.
Mm-hmm.
It's all going to be on if you could get one. If you could get one, then you move on for Phillip Rivers. You only signed him for a 1 year, $25 million deal anyway. If you can't, then you sign him to another one. I mean, he's better than what you got. You know what I mean? Yeah. If Phillip Rivers will give you a better chance than Jacoby Brissett, even though I like Jacoby Brissett, but he'll give you a better chance. But other than that, you got to roll with Phillip Rivers unless you can find somebody better.
Agree. I mean, I think, again, at this point, I think when you're talking about trying to lead a team and, bring a franchise to where we need to go, I think it might just be a little bit over for Phillip Rivers. But again, I think what he can provide for you is the expertise. I think that he could, help a young player develop to make your team better. So I don't necessarily saying that it's over for him completely, but for him to lead your franchise, I say yes, and it's time to look into another direction. But what the league is doing that I don't like, and I got you right. What the league is doing I don't like is that they put these young players in these positions too soon, and a lot of them aren't developing. They aren't good. And I pray wherever Trevor Lawrence go, he gets time to develop and get real skills behind him.
In Jacksonville? Wherever he go. He going to Jacksonville.
Sad. I mean, it's just sad. You know what I mean? Because some years ago, these experts were talking about Josh Rosen is going to be the next thing. Sam Darnold. I had to say it.
Spell it, tough guy. Spell it.
Darnold, you know what I mean? So when you look at Darnold, but again, not having the pieces around you is not going to make you better. And these GMs and these coaches, they just really feel that I could take these young guys, make them everything with nothing around them. And that's sad. But with a team like the Colts, you get Brissett, you have Phillip Rivers, get you a young guy who can watch, who can learn, who can sit back in the pocket and say, hey, this is how you become an NFL quarterback. So that's where I see for Phillip Rivers and for a lot of veterans as well. And Ruck, I know you were going to say something. What's going on, man?
No, so I thought that was a really good point that you brought up about Phillip Rivers, but I think what we're gonna see, because heading into the draft, like once you get past Sunshine, right? Once you get past Mr. Fields, there's gonna be a lot of reaches. There's gonna be a lot of Mel Kiper and Todd McShay favorites that nobody has talked about, right? That are going to jump into these rounds like early second, early third, late first rounds, right? But what I think that we're seeing and what we're going to see this offseason in the NFL is more of a veteran quarterback carousel. Because not only are you talking about Phillip Rivers, there's going to be a question about Cam. There's going to be a question about if Carson Wentz gets traded or if he gets out of Philly. There's going to be a question and conversation, say what you want, about Nick Foles, about Mitch Trubisky, right? There's going to be conversations about Tyrod Taylor. There's going to be conversations with the latest thing that was just reported today that Miami is actually entertaining the thought of trading Tua to Houston for Watson.
I sure hope it's not right. I need him with the Niners, man.
Well, listen, I would say this. I don't think that situation will be bad for either guy.
Right.
I think it would be Tua still gets to be a guy and have control of a franchise, right? Deshaun gets to be put in a different situation where he could possibly win more than he won in Houston, right? So I think the NFL this year is going to look at veteran quarterbacks more than anything because, look, connected to what we saw yesterday. We saw yesterday for two teams that were playoff teams the year before start two guys that nobody ever really heard of in Wolford and Heineke, right? So, I mean, what happens with Alex Smith? So I think with the veterans, that's going to be the conversation first. And like Chris alluded to earlier, listen, Phillip Rivers didn't hurt Indianapolis.
No, he didn't.
He didn't hurt him at all. As much as they say, maybe the arm ain't the same or whatever, he did not hurt him. So
they were in the playoffs.
They were in the playoffs and lost a 27-24 game against a team that was probably heavily favored.
Right.
They could have won that game. They could have won that game.
They could have won the game. And listen, not for nothing, Chris said it earlier, and I know you ain't really get into it, but listen, Heineke he played his butt off for Washington last night. And you're talking about he had his top receiver, right? His top receiver had 14 catches, and it was a guy that was second string practice squad all year with him. So he has a different respect level on that team. And of course the team was behind Alex Smith, but if they want to go a different way, they probably got a jump start. Another quarterback that we haven't talked about that is heavily going to be talked about and should be is Haskins. Dwayne Haskins is going to be talked about too.
Right.
Sam Darnold might be on the market too. Again, these teams that we're talking about, besides Jacksonville, because we know where they're going, they're going to have an opportunity to add somebody that has at least some NFL experience before they get to Mel and Todd, favorite guys from Wyoming or South Dakota.
You're right.
Or BYU.
Well,
yeah.
That's where Zach Wilson is from, BYU.
Well, BYU, we have
he popped in here.
Teacher who wanted to get on.
Wearing that Vikings merch.
Wearing that Vikings mess.
Vikings mess.
Gotta represent.
Nick, what's going on?
What you representing for? Y'all ain't playing today.
Gotta represent my team regardless, whether I'm playing or not.
I love it, Nick. I love it.
So, Nick,
Chris, how are you?
I don't think he heard you, Chris. Oh, I think he has to take an issue. Uh-oh.
Good, I can talk about Ohio State now.
Yeah.
All right, I can hear you now.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
So you were getting on your boy Phillip Rivers in the comments. You were saying he's not a Hall of Famer, he's not needed, all that.
Okay, well, let me say this. Phillip Rivers is a damn good quarterback. Okay, I'm not going to deny that one bit. But look at the body of work that he's done throughout his career. Every time he's had a really good to great team, he could not get them over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that, they make a lot of things like, he's had many fourth quarter, comebacks and stuff like that. But when it becomes crunch time, he fails by the wayside. We've seen that time and time and time again. Yeah. And if you look at the overall body of work, is it because of longevity or is it because he's a Hall of Fame quarterback? To me, Phillip Rivers is not a Hall of Fame quarterback. Phillip Rivers would fall into, in my opinion, the Hall of Very Good. He can fall very good. There are many quarterbacks out there that people was like, he's like a first or second or third ballot Hall of Famer, in which I'm like, no, they're not. They're in the Hall of Very Good. To me, they're not Hall of Fame caliber players. Just because they have awesome numbers, to me, doesn't mean that he's a Hall of Fame quarterback.
Wow. Okay.
So I look at it like this. If you look at his career, what has he done so special to deserve this, that type of love? Another thing is, I understand you guys are thinking that he might go to Jacksonville, stuff like that. My question is this: does he want to subject himself to going to Jacksonville? Does he want to subject himself going to Houston? Does he want to subject himself going to a team that's going into a full rebuild mode? No. Phillip Rivers is going to be 40 years old. Mm-hmm. His time is like extremely short right now.
What about New England, Nick?
If New England's in the same boat, in my opinion, I think New England's in for a long haul rebuilding. They don't have the talent that they once had. We saw it this year. Mm-hmm. I mean, Cam, to me, is still a pretty damn good quarterback, but who was he throwing to? Outside of Julian Edelman, who was hurt half the time. Mm-hmm. There was no wide receivers. He didn't have like a Gronk. He did not have a full-blown Julian Edelman. He didn't have like guys that Brady had in prior years. Mm-hmm. So I looked at Rivers. There's two options. One, he stays in Indianapolis, and the love in Indianapolis is fierce for Phillip Rivers right now. His teammates are already going back to him saying they need to keep him for another year because they have the talent to go 11-5, 12-4 next year. And Frank Reich is one of the most underrated head coaches and offensive minds in the NFL. If Indianapolis doesn't keep him, I see Phillip Rivers handing him his retirement paper saying thank you, but no thank you. Because why would I want to subject myself to torture of going, 5-11, 6-10 at best?
So I have TC says, he said, Nick, you realize Pats have $90 million. You don't think.
You do know, Tom, that the Patriots happen to be one of the cheapest organizations on the planet because look at what happens when time and time again people come up for contract extensions. Unless your name is Brady, Moss, or someone of that nature, they don't re-sign anybody. Go back in their history. They let people go that were still in the prime of their careers.
Very true.
Look at Wes Welker. Look at Richard Seymour. Look at guys like that. Yeah, I understand you're a season ticket holder. Bravo, congratulations. But you have to understand, if they don't fit the Patriots mold of player, they're not going to just go out and hand out $100 million worth of contracts to people.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
can I say this to Nick's point? So, Nick, and tell me what you feel about this. I feel, TC, if the Patriots want to make smart business decisions, right? With that $90 million, take about 5 of it and offer it to Cam to stack. Take the rest of it and invest in other skill players that you're going to need, right? Mm-hmm. So, and remember, you can get somebody like a Juju. You can get, you can get a couple of different pieces that could come and help. But invest that way. It's the skill players is what let the Patriots down this year. It really was.
Hands
And if
down.
you can get a solid quarterback, I mean, it's going to work. But going back to Nick's point too, the one thing about Phillip Rivers, like Nick alluded to, body of work, a lot of times he gets a knock because the Chargers and his Chargers teams were always notorious for starting very slow and then finishing strong at the end of the year, right? So he doesn't get the respect there. But again, he left a Chargers team that was still a middle of the pack team last year and went to a coach and got them to 11-5.
He got let go from the Chargers.
He got let go. He got let go.
They was ready to move on.
They said, listen, we tired of the bolo ties, but you know.
But I want to hit up Tom's point. I agree with Tom for a couple things.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. I don't ever agree with TC, but you know.
But I gotta give TC when I agree. I do not think the Patriots are going to be in a long-term rebuild. They're not. Listen, they were a couple of plays away this year. You're talking about there was about 3 or 4 games where if the ball would have broke a couple different ways, they would have won. Like for instance, the Seattle play when they went against Seattle week 2. Now I just thought that was a bad play call. I mean, I know I had been working all night, but everybody and their mama knew that they were going to do a quarterback run to the left. That was bad on the offensive coordinator. You talk about on Josh McDaniels. You talk about the Kansas City Chiefs game. If Cam was there, I think they could have won that game. You talk about the Buffalo Bill game, the first Buffalo Bill game. If Cam doesn't fumble, I think they go in and win that game. And honestly, the Bronco game. The Bronco game was like one of Cam's first games from coming back from COVID. He still wasn't right, and they still only lost that game by 3 points, 4 points, or something like that. So this season could have been totally different if not a whole. And I don't think Phillip Rivers. Here's why I don't agree with Tom. I don't think Phillip Rivers going to the Patriots will help the Patriots at all because one of the reasons why the Patriots were even in games this year because of the threat of Cam Newton running. So they had to respect it. If you got that statue, Phillip Rivers back there, they know he not running in the they know he not running. So they're just gonna pin their ears back and come right to you. So I don't think Phillip Rivers is the answer. But if you do go out and get another quarterback, just got to be somebody that's mobile. The Patriots and Bill Belichick do not have a history of drafting and getting good skill players on offense. On defense, that's a different story. On offense, they never drafted a good wide receiver. They always do running back by committee. They get you guys that went to URI as their running back, and they just wind up being decent. They're not good at drafting skill players offensively. But if you get them the right quarterback, and he has to be an above replacement, high talented quarterback, he can make the junk offensively that Bill Belichick gives you work.
Well, I just want to say this again. You know, I don't agree with TC on much, but I just want to go back to what he was saying. Again, this is Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. You know, when it comes to the Patriots being cheapskates, it has worked for them. You know, it really worked for them, and I think it worked for them in the sense that they don't mind compromising some things to get what they want. But again, that has always been with Tom Brady being at the helm. What you saw this year was a little different than what we're seeing. However, like Chris was saying, if we make better plays, I'm talking about the Patriots. I'm not a Patriots fan. If the Patriots make better plays, then guess what? The Patriots will probably be in the playoffs. We probably won't be having this conversation. However, when you talking about what the Patriots can do, what they can't do again, it was all around Tom Brady. So now that there's no Tom Brady, now we're looking, okay, now what do we do next? But again, even without Tom Brady for some years, for some periods, Patriots still was successful. And we're seeing a jump from the Bills this year. But again, we know that doesn't last long. The last Bills playoff win was in 1996. That's a long time. So Bill Belichick is like, okay, have what you want, do what you want. But I do agree with you, Nick, in some sense that you're going to have to come off that paper one way or another. Yep. You know, you're going to have to decide, okay, well, listen, I understand we didn't need it before, but we need to look at some things because guess what we don't have? We don't have a secure QB in Tom Brady, or we don't have a secure backup that we can put in that place. And I know TC was saying, we're going to get Jimmy G. As a 49ers fan, please take him. If you want him, you can have him. Do what you need to do. But again, you have to also remember Jimmy G is coming off some injuries, bad season. How is that going to play into the psyche of Jimmy G? So that was my point. So go ahead, Nick, finish that. What you were saying.
The one other thing that I want to point out about Phillip Rivers, and people have to understand this. In the 15 years he played for the San Diego / Los Angeles Chargers, he didn't make the playoffs 9 times. There was a gap of 5 consecutive years where the Chargers did not make the playoffs. They were basically a 500 team, even with the challenge that with the talent that they had. And in the years that they did make the playoffs and they were favorites, they were pretty much one and done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling to me when people say that Phillip Rivers is a winner. No, he's not. I mean, if you want to look at the quarterback class from that year, look at what Big Ben did. Hell, look at Eli. Everybody gives Eli a lot of crap, and some of it deservedly so. But remember, he's a two-time Super Bowl champion. With two of the greatest throws that you will ever see in playoff history. So, and then and then you have Rivers, who's pretty much the odd man out. Now, like I said, there are other quarterbacks that I can compare to Phillip Rivers that are very good, but not Hall of Fame, not Hall of Fame, but that's for another show, for another day, as we all know. But I got to give kudos to the Bills, and you're looking at an unbelievable future star for years to come in Josh Allen, because when he came out in the draft, I had him as the worst of those top quarterbacks coming out, because I watched some of his games and he couldn't hit the side of a barn if he was standing in front of it. We knew he had a gun for an arm. We knew he could throw the ball 70, 75 yards. I was calling him Kyle Bowler light. Seriously, that's how it was, how I looked at it. Once again, I will admit I was proven wrong. The kid has improved greatly, especially, when you have, when you're thrown to a guy like Stephon Diggs.
Oh, yeah, that makes it easier.
And you have 2 short, stout, really good receiving running backs in Singletary and Moss, who are exactly the same player, and get those hard yards like they're out of style.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, Josh Allen is going to be the class of the AFC East for a pretty long period of time, especially when you look at – I know it might not be saying much now with what the quarterback talent is at this point in time, but if Darnold, Tua, and Allen, and whoever the Patriots have as a young quarterback, if they decide not to re-sign Cam, Josh Allen's going to be the class of that division for years on end.
Okay. All right.
Listen, I got to say it. Hold on, quick. I got to say it because we've been talking about it for a couple of days. I'm not a believer in Josh Allen. I'm just not. And after watching yesterday's game, I still don't feel like a believer, because from what I read, from what I was hearing all of the experts say, they should have rolled the Colts, and they didn't.
True. That's true. Now you are right again, and then also I'm not knocking Josh Allen at all. Again, I think he has some talent. I think he has. I hate to use the word potential, but what I saw yesterday, again, you're not going to be able to get away with those mistakes when you're playing a better and solid defense. What we watched yesterday was we watched him do a good job of maintaining his team. But again, you go into the, playing against a better defense, that's not happening. That's not going to fly at all. So
I'll just say this: once the Patriots regain their supremacy, Buffalo will be exactly what they always are, Buffalo.
Because one of the things that people have to understand, like, we're still talking about, it's not like we're talking about the Patriots are in a division with such strong teams that they're gonna like Nick said, a true rebuild is gonna happen. It's like the NFC East. This is the AFC East. It's the Bills, the Pats, the Jets, and the Dolphins.
That sounds sad.
The crazy thing is, all jokes aside, if you just win out in your division, you got a chance to go to the playoffs.
I'm going to say this, Ruck. I'm going to say this. Give it 2-3 years' time, the AFC East is going to be one of the toughest divisions to play for. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why.
I agree.
The Jets have an insane amount of cap space, and they have all these draft picks the next 2 years. So that's one. Miami, same thing. Remember, they fleeced Houston, and they have the 3rd pick overall this year. For a team that went 10-6, they have the 3rd pick overall plus their own pick. And they have extra picks this year and next year. New England, as Tom said, they have $70 million in cap room. They're actually going to have high draft picks this year. Let's see what Belichick is made of now instead of like trading back, this is Belichick. Trade back. Get more picks. Get the players that he wants. And then Buffalo. Buffalo right now is a really young team. This is not the Buffalo team that was like throwing money at crap players in the years past just to try to stay in purgatory.
Yeah.
Give it 2-3 years. The AFC East, I do not want to be playing. If I were a player, I do not want to play in the AFC East because I could see a team finishing 10-6, coming in 3rd, and not making the playoffs.
Damn. Yeah, that's tough.
That's good. What do you call it? That's where I see the AFC East this year. I mean, and that's where I see the AFC East going. Again, it's up to the front office and it's front of the players to make the performance matter. But as an analyst like us, this is what we can predict for the future.
Right.
I'll probably be dead wrong because that's like 99% of the time, but I'm just saying, but I'm just saying the possibilities are endless for this for this division.
True. Now, so Nick, before you go, TC has a question. He said, "Who does Watson end up with?" Interesting. Please say my 49ers.
He's staying in Houston.
Oh man,
no, because after the Bill O'Brien error, and I specifically say the word error, ERROR. Houston cannot afford to give up Deshaun Watson. And the reason why is if they do that, they will become the next version of the Jacksonville Jaguars for years on end.
Well, I mean, I see what you're saying, Nick, but you have to remember he's not answering the owner's call. As Chris was saying, he wanted to be in the process of hiring a GM, coaches. He wasn't granted that. He's not happy. Again, then you give away my top receiver, right? Then
hold on, quick. Hold on. No. They let him talk. They let him give out suggestions. They just didn't listen to him.
Again,
they didn't even let him. They said, "All right, who do you want?" And they was like, "Okay," and then they just went a totally different way.
That's the same way.
That's a big difference.
That's the same thing.
Because if you don't give. No, it's more disrespectful. But see, because if you don't let me talk at all, you just go, listen, this is a front office thing. We're not going to let you be a part of it. That's one thing. But then if you tell me, all right, we'll let you be a part of it, and then you bring me in the room and I tell you the things that I'm looking for and the things that I want and the things that I'm considering, and you look at my face and go, okay, we'll consider it, and then you totally blow by it, that's more disrespectful.
I agree. I totally agree. You asking me for my opinion, you let me come in, and then just to say, yeah, we're going to go in a different way. And
exactly.
I don't know, Nick, man. I don't see him being with the Texans, man.
I can't see the Texans swallowing everything and just making that deal because then after that, who do you got? An aging JJ Watt? I mean,
here's the thing. Let me tell you this now, right? Not only is Deshaun going to be gone, but JJ going to be in Green Bay.
What needs to happen?
Going to be in Green Bay because one thing that you saw from JJ is that JJ wants to leave, right? He's done with everybody in Houston because of how the rest of the players that they had there approached the season. He's tired of losing, right? Even if he doesn't go to Green Bay and say he pulls the thing, I want to go play with my brother, and he goes to Pittsburgh, he's in full control because he's an unrestricted free agent. Deshaun could make himself, and this wouldn't be the first Houston star that wants to get out, but he could get out of that situation too. He really could. And think about this: the Texans just hired a GM from New England, right? The trade rumors that we heard today were between Houston and Miami, right?
I hope not.
Who's the coach in Miami?
Brian Flores.
And where did he come from?
New England.
Next subject.
Yeah.
Well, to answer
let's call simple math on the Sunday.
To answer Tom's question, if Deshaun Watson does get traded, there are two places that I can see him going to.
Okay.
First one is Jacksonville, because I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville gives up an arm and a leg to get a franchise quarterback for the next 10 years. And Ruck hit it on the head. It's not Miami, it's New England. Because if you don't think Bill Belichick sees dollar signs and sees a path to back to relevancy after this season and get Deshaun Watson and use the hoodoo that he knew so well, then I could see that. Now, a lot of people are also saying, well, what about San Francisco? Are they really going to trade Garoppolo for Watson?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but again, you have to understand the problem with San Francisco, I think, and Marquette, you could tell me if I'm wrong, salary cap.
Nah, because we can make some moves, because getting rid of Jimmy G will add some money on the books. And also we have a D Ford who hasn't played a full season with us since God knows how long. So we can move some things around, but also we would have to give up some pieces like some first round draft picks, some second round draft picks. So it can work. And again, I think that swapping Jimmy G.
Yeah. Jimmy G, listen,
work.
Jimmy G, you got to get rid of Jimmy G. You got to get rid of D Ford. You got to get rid of Richard Sherman.
Well, Richard Sherman's already going anyway.
Well, I got one dark horse team that everybody's going to be looking at me like cross-eyed and 22 minutes over.
Minnesota.
Has good teams.
No, Philadelphia.
Oh.
I would absolutely love that, Nick. Oh my goodness, I would love that.
That's
Deshaun
not bad.
in the NFC East.
The reason why I say Philadelphia is this: they're looking to get rid of Wentz. They're looking to get rid of that contract. It could happen. Houston will take on that contract. I don't see any reason why, because Wentz, when healthy, is actually a pretty decent quarterback. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Also, here's another thing. Doug Peterson is the type of offensive mind that Deshaun Watson can definitely.
We don't know if Dougie's going to be there now.
Well, pretty cool. The Tuesday meeting came and went, and there was no news, which is, to me, no news is good news.
No, because reports came out today that Jeffrey Lurie is still deciding what's going to happen with good old Dougie. So Dougie might have got a stay of execution through the first weekend of the playoffs.
If they make that, if Philadelphia decides to get into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, that tells me Doug Peterson is safe.
You know what? But Nick, you know why I wouldn't do that? If I could get into the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, I would get rid of Doug, because I would then go after Eric Bieniemy.
He's what do you call it? Eric Bieniemy right now, though, is such a hot commodity that, would Philadelphia be too late in the game? Too late to the game on Eric Bieniemy?
No.
The reason I say that, Nick, is this, right? Think about the teams that Eric Bieniemy has been tagged and going to, right? What is he going to get out of Detroit? Okay, never mind. Okay. If he goes to Atlanta, he's getting aging Matt Ryan. That's not a quarterback that he can probably continue to mold how he plays.
Matt Ryan is out of ATL. Matt Ryan and Julio is out of ATL.
Both of Julio possibly as a consolation prize. But if you talk about a team that has decent weapons at every level, Miles Sanders, Rager, Deshaun Jackson, Alshon Jeffrey.
Mhm.
Even if you don't bring Zach Ertz back, you still got Dallas Goedert. You got the other tight end that they. So Deshaun Watson in that situation, Eric Bieniemy would love that talent level.
Listen, I gotta disagree because I gotta disagree for a couple reasons. First of all, Matt Ryan and Julio Jones are out of Atlanta. The owner, what's his name? Arthur Blank. Arthur Blank already said, "Yo, the new GM that come in, whatever moves he got to make. If he feel like he's got to move on from Matt Ryan and he feel like he wants to be in a total rebuild and get rid of that Julio contract, he said that's totally on the GM. So I think going forward, Atlanta is going to be a totally different team. They'll still be chokers, but they'll be a totally different team than what we've seen in the past, couple years. So I do think Matt Ryan and Julio.
Hey, Chris, they're gonna have some good wings though.
They're gonna have some good wings. No, definitely. And Magic City gonna be popping, but that's beside the point. That's beside the point.
Hey, listen. Go ahead.
I think that now, mind you, Eric Bieniemy is so hot of a prospect that Houston don't want to interview him. That's one of the problems Deshaun Watson got with management. They got he got a real problem because he's like, I want Eric Bieniemy, and the coach, and the owner is like,
because the
GM
request.
Now listen, the GM does need. I do think the GM needs to pick the coach. That's an important thing. I don't like a coach being hired and then the GM coming in. It almost never works out. But at the same time, if that GM from the Patriots, let me get on the Patriots for a second. Stop hiring all of these ex-Patriots like they're going to be the next Bill Belichick. Yeah. It hasn't been successful. Now,
Houston keeps doing it. Houston keeps doing it.
And Houston keeps doing it. You keep getting their scraps, thinking it's going to work for you, and it hasn't yet. The only two coaches that I would give props to right now are the two newest people to leave New England, Mike Vrabel and Brian Flores. Everybody else, what have they done? The best thing that Charlie Weiss did is he's still getting paid from Notre Dame. That's the best thing he did.
Sorry, Nick.
Nick knows what I'm talking about. Nick knows.
Gotta go there.
He got to turn it, huh?
He got twisted some more.
I'm not going to twist it because Notre Dame has now found, I think in Brian Kelly, they finally have a successful coach. But
the reason why Brian Kelly became a successful coach in Notre Dame is because he finally wised up and fired Brian Van Gorder 4 years ago from the defensive coordinator's position when Notre Dame was giving up 80 points a game. I mean, let's be honest. But anyway,
maybe, but Charlie Weiss, we saw what happened with him. Romeo Cornell, we saw what happened with him. I mean,
I gotta go watch Derrick Henry run for 250 yards today. So what do you call it? Because it's around that time.
Yeah.
What do you call it? For the second half of our Super Wildcard weekend. But
Nick, that's what Trey Sermon does when he scores a touchdown. He does about that time. Tomorrow is about that time.
Get away without talking about tomorrow.
We're excited.
Nick, thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate you as always, man. And listen, and we did want to talk about Sean Payton, but we'll save that for another time for you because he is on a hot seat and his pressure is definitely about to pop if he don't win a playoff game. So
I 100% agree with that, but I do have one thing I need to say before I go.
Uh-oh.
There may be a comeback in the works. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
All right.
Well, you heard it here first. Come back in the works. Nick, we appreciate you as always, man. Thanks for coming and joining us on the Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. All right,
guys. Have a good Sunday.
Yes, sir. I do want to ask you guys questions because I know that the games are on, so people are probably flicking back and forth, and whoever's on, thank you. Real quick, I want to talk about Sean Payton. Is there pressure on Sean Payton?
Yes. Hell yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be. And there needs to be more pressure. They need to apply some. I'm talking about. They need to apply some. My 600-pound life pressure on Sean Payton because I'm telling you right now, the passes that Sean Payton has been getting for the majority of his career, it's upsetting. It's very upsetting. And I feel like they always talk about Sean Payton as this great, great coach, this great, great offensive mind. He had his 3 years he got under his belt with Drew Brees, where he went 7-9. And my boy Mike Tomlin is getting complained about all the time. And even last year when he was running out, Duck Hodges still went, and they still never had a losing season.
Exactly. Crazy.
So, yeah. There's some real pressure on Sean Payton. And I'm going to tell you this. I am not sold that Chicago might not upset the Saints today.
I got Chicago.
Because I don't believe in Sean Payton. Listen, this is not an indictment on Drew Brees. But this is Drew Brees last year. He don't want to do this no more. He don't want to do this no more. And that's not a knock. Listen, I'm not as old as Drew Brees, and I don't want to do football no more. Listen, it comes a point where you get tired of getting hit, man. He wants to retire. He wants to get up in the booth, be the next Tony Romo, and all power to him. He should be able to do that. But I'm going to tell you this right here. If they get upset by Chicago, Sean Payton needs to immediately be on the hot seat that if you can't get us another successful season, your ass is out the door.
I agree. So this was my point, Ruck, because I want you to hear this because I had this, in my head for so long. And even before the season, I'm watching, I'm like, damn, Sean Payton's still losing. And the reason why I don't believe in Sean Payton is because if you can lose to the Minnesota Vikings, Nick is not on, I wish he was. If you could lose to the Minnesota Vikings time after time, what makes me believe that you would not lose to the Chicago Bears? And Ruck, is this a fair statement here? Is this a fair statement? Is Sean Payton the Doc Rivers of the NFL?
Well, no, I'm not going to let you sit here and disrespect Doc Rivers like that.
Okay.
We are still in the year of Wakanda.
I don't give a damn. You know how I feel about Marvin Lewis, but go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. That's a problem. That's a big problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
You act real light skinned.
Hold on,
when
Ruck.
come out.
Hey, Ruck, I'll step in for 1 second. Just one quick point I want to make. When you brought up Marvin Lewis, this is why Michigan did the right thing. Michigan football team in college.
Oh my God, I know they did.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you why. People always think there's something better out there. You are what you are, Cincinnati, Michigan. Marvin is the best you're gonna get. Even with Joe Burrow, because you know what Marvin Lewis had you doing, even though he couldn't win a playoff game, he had you winning. He had you winning the AFC North. North. He had you winning the AFC North, and he almost consistently had you in the playoffs. How's it been since he left? Since he left? Michigan. If Michigan would have moved on from Harbaugh, I wonder it would have went down before it went up. And it's a high time, because it's high time for people to start realizing this is the best you could do. Listen, I know it sounds like a jab. I know it sounds like I'm being condescending to you, but sometimes your plateau is your plateau. It ain't no higher for you. And you need to just be grateful, thankful, and grateful that you are where you are. And that's what Michigan did. And now Cincinnati is reaping the benefits of that.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Ruck. And Ruck know I'm preaching, because he know I'm preaching.
Well, the Jets are about to get Marvin Lewis, so they're going to be who they are too.
Hold on. But if Marvin Lewis goes to the Jets, guarantee you they make the playoffs. Guarantee you they be competing. Now listen, they might not win a playoff game. I think they will. And, hold on, and they might suspend players every other week. But let me tell you something: you're gonna be more successful than you are now.
There's a lot of bookish shit.
And I tell you one thing: they're gonna get back to having some real goons on their team. Some real goons. That's about that.
And they in New York, so it's a little different, right?
You know what I'm saying?
So, matter of fact, they in Jersey, so you already know what time it is right there. But anyway,
we know them gun charges ain't sticking. Oh, my bad. Oh, shoot.
Oh my God. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, man, I'm not gonna put the whole Doc Rivers thing out there, but what I would say is that Sean Payton has had full carte blanche since he came to New Orleans to do exactly what he wanted to do. And he's been given so much rope because he has had winning season And you have to understand too, because he won a Super Bowl there. So he's going to get that type of rope. He's going to always be considered one of those geniuses or whatever, because that's just what happens with Bill Parcells' disciples. Like we've seen it before. So should he be on the hot seat if they don't win this game today? Absolutely. Because of anybody to have the amount of talent that he's had over the years and consistent talent, he should be further along with just one Super Bowl. And think about this: the last 3 years they've had nothing but playoff disappointment.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's high time for him. It's high time.
Okay. I just wanted to say that.
You know,
Chris,
another thing.
Go ahead.
Huh? Another thing I want to bring up. I couldn't like really comment on it when y'all was talking with Nick because Cam got diarrhea and I had to keep running to deal with that.
It's all right. Sean Payton know about that.
Sean Payton know about that. Listen, one of the reasons I think that Deshaun Watson, I know we backtracking a little bit. One of the reasons I think Deshaun Watson could wind up in the 49ers, could wind up on the 49ers because of how much coach movement, GM movement there's going to be this year. I can't remember the last time where it's going to be this many teams going to teams that technically have franchise quarterbacks that certain people are ready to move on from. Listen, if you go to Detroit, I'm not saying that that Stafford is bad, but the next coach, the next GM might be like, I'm just ready to move on from Matt Stafford, and Matt Stafford can find himself somewhere. Same thing with Atlanta. You know what I mean? So, listen, I don't think, obviously you don't need a new coach with the 49ers, but I think the 49ers have already accepted this is what we're going to get out of Jimmy G. So maybe we do need to take a look at trading Jimmy G to somewhere else and giving up a boatload of picks to try to bring in a Deshaun Watson. Or maybe we don't give up that much. Maybe we just bring in Stafford. Because listen, Stafford might suffice as well. I mean, Deshaun Watson would be Deshaun Watson would be the best. But maybe they bring in Stafford. Maybe they bring in Matt Ryan. There's just gonna be so much, and then you gotta also add in, listen, but you can't say that they don't have a connection to Matt Ryan with your head coach. So I mean that's a possibility. We talked about it last night when we was talking about Julio possibly ending up in San Francisco. So Matt Ryan could as well. I'm not saying that he will. Not saying that he will. And you also got to remember, Drew Brees is probably going to retire. Listen, I think we haven't talked about it, but this might be Big Ben last year. I haven't heard nothing from him that he's definitively ready to play football again next year. There's going to be a lot. Again, we don't know what's going to happen with Phillip Rivers. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks that have been staples in the NFL that are either retiring or ready to move on. There's going to be a lot of player movement. So that's why I think the possibility is there for Deshaun Watson to end up on another team. Because it's not – normally you don't trade a franchise quarterback because it's like we can't replace him with nobody. You know what I mean? It won't be nobody kind of good or on the level. There will be. I mean, it won't be as good as Deshaun Watson. But, you can get somebody that's comparable. You can get somebody that is not going to be a precipitous drop from what Deshaun Watson is.
That's why Tua makes so much sense.
That's why Tua makes so much sense, yeah.
So real quick, and I know it sounds crazy, but I was telling Chris, I said, this is what I would like to happen. Again, will it happen? I don't know. Let me turn my TV down because I do not want to get hit with copyright infringement up here on Facebook. Hey, what could happen is, let's just say we get Deshaun Watson, or let's just say we get Matthew Stafford. I can see Julio saying, you know what? These two quarterbacks always make sure that their main receivers get the ball, regardless of what. Okay? And I already play with Kyle. I already know what he's going to do. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over there and it's Sunday, play in the competitive division, so that way when it's time to come out the playoff, I'll be ready. I take a little less in pay, but guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to win. And I know that I'll be all right because they got a solid defense, and I can make that work. So if I'm Julio, again, this is just me being a 49er, so I'm being a little biased. That's what I'm thinking because we know that the 49ers are going to get a solid QB. And if we just get Julio, even if we keep Jimmy G, let's say if we get Julio with what we have right now, I think we will be in the good position.
If I'm Julio, it's only three places that I want to talk to anybody about.
Go
Green
ahead.
Bay.
Nope. It's
No?
where Lamar Jackson is. It's
Baltimore.
where Patrick Mahomes is, and it's wherever Deshaun Watson is going. If I'm Julio, those are the people I'm talking to.
Mm-hmm.
Because
I don't know if I like them in Kansas City. I don't know if I like them there. The only reason listen, let me tell you why. Because I just don't think that he would get as much. He wouldn't get the ball as much as he needs to get the ball. Listen, Julio is a generational talent. And the reason that I got a problem with Matt Ryan is because Matt Ryan didn't realize that even when Julio is double covered, get him the ball. Even when Julio Jones is triple covered, get him the ball. I don't care if the whole defense is on Julio Jones. You throw him the ball. The thing that has lacked Julio his whole career is he never had a quarterback that's going, no, you're my number one. And you're the best damn receiver out here, I'm throwing you the ball. Because that's what Big Ben used to do with Antonio Brown back when he was in Pittsburgh. Oh, no. No, he's the number one receiver. He's better than whoever you could put on him. I'm giving him the ball. I don't care what the play was drawn up. I don't care what we're supposed to do. If I see that man flash, I'm getting him the ball. If we leave the huddle.
They were all his receivers.
If we leave the huddle and it's not supposed to go to him and he double covered, I still think that's the best decision to make. And Matt Ryan didn't do that. Matt Ryan wanted to be pragmatic about his decisions. He wanted to stay within the system. He wanted to do it. No. Julio needs the ball. And I just think he deserves to be on the team where he is the solidified number one. Not that he wouldn't be the best receiver, even if he went to Kansas City, but he would have to compete with getting the ball with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill.
The reason that I said that is because of this, right? And the reason that I do like Kansas City, even though it's really far-fetched because they would have to do some things salary cap-wise, but I think where Julio is past being the number one receiver. I think he wants to get back to the Super Bowl and win because another thing that I think Julio wants is he wants that gold jacket. And he know that even with the numbers that he got right now, he's not close to the jacket. But a Super Bowl ring is going to solidify the jacket.
Okay, hold on. First of all, we all know it's hard for receivers to get into the Hall of Fame.
I know.
It's already hard off rip. But you saying he's not a number one anymore? You're saying he's not a number one anymore?
No, listen. The reason I'm saying that is this. Julio is not a receiver that's in his third year, right? He's been in the league for a while. So some receivers, which I take Julio to be, it becomes less about the diva and more about winning. I think that's been his complaint in Atlanta over the last 3 years. We not winning, and you're not giving me the ball.
Yeah.
I think he wants to win more than it's about him getting. He's not T.O. You know, he's not T.O. He's not Chad.
No.
He want to win.
He's not T.O. He's not Chad. Ooh, speaking of that, I don't know. Maybe he go down to Cincinnati and get Joe Burrow throwing on the ball.
Could be.
Listen,
possible.
Hey, it's possible.
I just want him to be somewhere where he get the love and attention and the respect that he's been not granted in Atlanta, dealing with the incompetence of their front office and Matt Ryan.
Agree.
Absolutely agree.
I've been saying it for years. Julio deserves better. He just does. He deserves better than what he's gotten in Atlanta. I mean, they could have. I didn't watch the game, but they could have won the Super Bowl if they just kept giving Julio the ball. I don't care what Bill Belichick was throwing at. Just throw him the ball. Just throw it up. From the highlights, I saw.
Correct.
Yes,
you are so correct. I mean, Julio was cooking. Julio was catching colds in the summertime. He was on fire, and for them to go away from that, I mean, hence what happened, and
because give Matt Ryan time, and that peanut butter sandwich get real thick, okay? And the milk is nowhere to be found. There's no milk in town, okay?
Oh my God, he needs some milk.
I'm talking about when Matt Ryan get in his bag, his choking bag. He got 2 pieces of Texas toast, all right? And I'm talking the chunky peanut butter. I'm talking about the joint you need to spread with a spatula. You can't even spread it with a knife. And I'm talking about he's taking big bites. Big bites. No milk in sight. No milk in sight.
Well, fellas, the game is on. It is the Titans just scored. I mean, it was a beautiful score, by the way. Brown took it in the end zone, one-handed. Get off me. Disrespect the Humphreys real quick.
What's the score?
Well, fellas, it's about to be it's 6-0 now. It's about to be 7. Well, if they make it, you can't even say that no more. So it's 6-0. I'll see that. All right. Before we go, we got to do our final segment of Say Word, which is brought to you by Inspire Rentals. Yes, that's Inspire Rentals. Ruck, what do you got us? We had a lot going on last week. A lot that we need help with. So we need you to give us a good word, because last week I don't know what the hell that was going on in DC, man. Jeez, I ain't see that much foolishness since Mayor Barry was on camera.
Man, listen, that in itself was a mess. But here we go, people. Another episode of Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast, and also another version of Say Word. So here's the quote for this week. If you are tired of getting what you get, start to look at what you are giving. If you're tired of getting what you get,
okay,
start to look at what you're giving. Right? A lot of times for us people, it's all about effort. No matter what the obstacle is standing in our way, it's about effort. Remember, you are your biggest opponent. Get over you. Get to the work. All right? So like I always say, people, again, think big, but most importantly, just be easy.
Well, listen, man, we always want to thank you for giving us those words, because I think that people listening, we all need to hear that, because those words are very, very inspiring to us. On that note, we're going to wrap it up. We got some games coming along, so we don't want to delay anything. But thanks again for tuning to another edition of Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. I'm your boy, Professional Sutton.
And I'm your boy, Chris G.
It's your boy, The Ruck Report. Cheers.
Peace. All right. Hold on. Have some technical difficulty. Okay, we good.
Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast. I'm your boy, Professional Sutton.
And I'm your boy, Chris G.
And it's your boy, The Ruck Report, a.k.a. Jerry.
This is what the greatest thing about sports is. You play to win the game. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished.
This is Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast.
X about me.
With Professional Sutton.
You already know.
Chris G.
My homie.
And the Rucker Report.
My family, what up? They for real.
All straight with no chaser.
Let the games begin.
Let's go. Don't Shoot the Messenger podcast.